Hi, Vincent.
Hi.
Oh, he's gone. Well, today's full of glitches. I expect he'll be back soon.
Hello.
Hello, Vincent.
Hi. Just give me 1 second. I hope I don't get thrown out again. I'm just switching my camera around so I can show you. Um. Yeah. What's going on? What did you title the stream?
Um, I just dated it. What,
Okay. You can say
did he want to?
Vincent Bruno's birds. You can say. We'll talk about other things, but I want to show them.
Okay. So the camera arrangement is going to be better today.
Yes, the camera arrangement will be better today. Just make it full screen so everyone can see.
Alrighty. Now, how do I do that? Um.
You would click on the
Okay, I didn't mean to remove you. I meant to remove myself. So, how do I make you full screen?
oh, there should be some kind of setting.
Oh yeah. I know now. What? Share screen. Share screen. That's how you do it. Share screen. Oh no, I've just forgotten how to do it. It's so annoying. Um. Okay, so you're there, and I want to make you full screen. Is that no? I've made myself full screen. That's not the idea. Um. That.
Wait, hold on. Maybe if I settings. No. Oh, that sucks if you can't make me full screen.
I can. I just can't work out how to do it at the
Click on
moment.
my video camera.
Yeah, so I'm clicking on your thing at the bottom, and then I click on okay settings, present. mm, Share screen. Oh, I don't think I'm doing it right, but I sort of think it's something very simple that I'm not getting.
Yeah.
So, um, oh yes, solo layout. There we go.
Okay, and if I go like this, okay. Solo layout. Okay, good. Now I can say. All right. So we did this on YouTube a little bit, but I don't know. I like it so much. I like talking about my birds, and I wanted to introduce everyone to my birds. So these birds up here are for sale. I do sell them, these ones, but these ones down here are all mine. And let me give you their names. So in this first nest here, you can see an all white one and one with a white head. And those are Snow and Pokey. And then over here, there's a white one and a tan one. And those are Milky Way and what's her name? Tan. Then in here, that's coming out of the nest. That's Chestnut. Over here, the white and brown one with no tail is white. The one that just flew over here and is in the front is orange. She's right there. Um, this dark one right here that I'm following is Blackie. This one that's a brown is Spring. This is Spring. And let's keep going. Where's Nutmeg? I don't know where Nutmeg is. Um, okay, and then over. Let's see if I can get him. If I can get one of them. Where are you? Where are you? Um, This one down here, there's two that, well, actually, this one right here is Nayla, the white one with the white head that's jumping on that perch right there that just flew. That one, let's say, I'm trying to get a picture of them. Where are they? Carmel and Ripple look the same as well. Where's Carmel and Ripple? Carmel's, they look the same. That's Carmel. No. That's a silver bill that you see right now that just flew up. I have two silver bills. Back there is Carmel and Ripple right there. They look the same. They're on the green perch. And then where is the silver bill? That one on the orange perch is a silver bill. You can see it looks a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit different. So hold on. Let me put this. Hold on. Hold on. Okay, and then we're gonna get close. And then we're gonna put this up a little bit. And that should be it. You can see them well. Claire? She must be on mute. I think there was someone talking.
Yes, sorry, yes, I was answering.
Okay. Hold on, let me just... Hopefully my phone is charging. If I disappear, it's because my phone went dead, but I can fix that. So I'll just narrate what's going on. So how are you, Claire?
I'm fine. I've hatched up a new plan to promote secular Quranism, and it is really to shame Jews and Muslims for their hypocrisy and expose their atheism. And hopefully, make it clear that the problems that social conservatives face can be solved instantly if only people would just do what they say they believe in. So I'm saying the problem with these, Muslims is that they won't support secular Quranism, and it's because they're scared of offending their Christian overlords, and so it means that they are making an idol of their fear of offending these Christians. And the Jews, obviously, they haven't been doing what they're supposed to be doing as God's chosen people, and yeah, it's their fault, but not just the fault of the Jews, but the fault of the Muslims as well.
Well, that theory about Jews haven't been doing. Look, in the kingdom of Israel, 10 out of the 12 tribes weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, but God still preserved the Jewish people. So that's basically what's going on right now with Jews. And just because God didn't necessarily abandon them because most of them are not Jewish, he didn't, there's no, why would he abandon a few Jews when he didn't do it in Israel? Why would he do it now?
Oh, I'm not saying that he's going to abandon them. He's just going to keep them around to make an example of them. That's what he's been doing for millennia.
Well, no, he'd still work. Obviously, he would still be working through them, and his plan with them is not done. And, he didn't change the plan. And,
Well, he hasn't. So that's my point. So if you read the Quran, you would be able to notice. He said a whole bunch of things about them, and actually, the Jewish virtual library is very helpful because it's just collated all the verses in the Quran about God slagging off the Jews, and it's basically they break the Sabbath, they break all their rules, but they want to claim all the privileges of being a Jew, and also God has promised to protect them. Because there's I don't know how familiar you are with the book of Jeremiah. Are you familiar with it?
Not very.
Well, there are verses in it saying, you Jews, you're supposed to be the bride of God, but but you are really the openly adulterous bride of God, and there you go, prostituting yourselves under that shady tree to passers-by. But even so, God will take you back. Shall I find you that verse? Because I don't think people quite believe me when I say
No,
that.
I know that actually I do know that verse. And yeah, it proves that no matter what the Jews do, as long as they realign themselves, then they're still in business. And, there's no reason to believe that there's anything different and that it was the Jews, not the Muslims, that were supposed to be a light unto nations. And people are supposed to grab the coattails of Jews and say, you have the one true God and we want to learn from you, not Muslims. And that promise didn't change, Claire. It didn't
Well,
get.
yes, I agree. So he's basically saying, I made myself a promise to you, and I'm not going to break it. But it's the easiest thing for me to keep you around and make you suffer. In the way that Zeus kept Prometheus around and made him suffer. Do you know what happened to a Prometheus?
Yes, I know. But the thing is, Claire, that. Um,
Maybe you can tell people what happened to
Well, he
Prometheus.
got his liver eaten out every day by vultures. But, um, the thing is that, look, Claire, you're trying to say that there was a change in revelation, and that instead of letting the Jews be the light unto the nation, he changed his mind and said, I'm sending a second revelation through Muhammad. And, that's not even Noahide compliant. And um, there's no reason to believe that. And the 12 tribes of Israel prove that because the majority were disobedient, but God didn't change his plan. He didn't say, okay, you're not doing what I'm going to say, so I need to find a new chosen people. He said, no matter what you do, as long as you repent, I'll take you back. So the Jews, the majority are not good, but God's not going to break his promise just because it's a minority who are preaching the Noahide laws.
Yeah, I'd agree because Jews, as I keep saying, are part of the solution. And what he's been doing is saying that they're just going to be cursed and provoke more anti-Semitism when they become secular and marry Gentiles, particularly Christians, who are not Noahide. So I'm saying that the more Jews assimilate into Christendom, well, it's not even Christendom. It's basically into Sodom and Gomorrah. That's what they're doing. They will provoke more and more anti-Semitism, and the only way they can legitimately assimilate is in a righteous Gentile nation, i.e., a Noahide
They're
nation,
not supposed to
i.e., an
assimilate.
Islamic republic.
No, they're
That's the
not
only way
supposed
they can
to
safely
assimilate, Claire.
assimilate.
Jews are not supposed to be outside of Israel assimilating. They're not supposed to be doing that. They're supposed to be in Israel being Jewish. And this is all very easily dealt with because in ancient Israel, if you didn't follow the law, you weren't a Jew and you were put to death. And even though that doesn't apply anymore, obviously these people that have left are no longer Jewish, and the Jewish God's protection is no longer over them. So these are non-Jews. These are not Jews. These are non-Jews. The only people who are Jews are religious Jews who are following the law. And they're not supposed to be assimilating. And Islam is not even Noahide because you've created new scripture, you've created new holidays, you've created new rituals, you've created a whole lot of new stuff, and it doesn't even meet the requirements of the Noahide laws.
Well, what happened? I mean, what the Jews are supposed to do is rag the four Gentile religions. I've been
No, there's
saying.
nothing that
So
God ever
even
said.
even if Islam is not quite good enough, it's the best one available, and this this they have a duty to recommend to Gentiles,
No,
and
they
they won't.
don't. They're not going to break their own rules. They're not going to say go to an idolatrous religion. They're not going to
Well,
say,
Islam is not an
but
idolatrous
it's not
religion.
Noahide compliant. It doesn't fit.
Well,
It does not fit the requirements.
okay, so but God will allow people to disbelieve because it's a human right that He has
No,
given
it's not.
to
Not
to
well. Who cares?
well, in chapter 2 verse 256 He does say in the Quran that there is no compulsion in belief. Truth stands
No,
clear from error, and
no, look.
and, and that is in harmony with the idea of free free will.
No,
So
but you still have to follow the law. The Noahide laws are the same thing. There's no law that says you have to believe in God, but you have to follow the laws whether you believe in God or not. So the idea that you have freedom of religion, or yeah, you have freedom of religion, but if you break the law and you practice your religion and it's idolatry, you're put to death. That's not freedom of religion. That's just letting people think whatever they want in their head.
okay, but what they can do, I mean, Jews can't, because of well, the very few of them. So out of the 14 million, only 7 are even religious, and out of that, ultra orthodox rabbis are a minority within a minority within a minority. So it's quite reasonable of them to say, well, what can we do? There's just so few of us. We're not in a position to tell, people anything. And I'm saying
Well, they're
you just
already
have to rank
doing
the 4 Gentile religions, and then the
it.
Christians will get the hint at last, because
Claire,
they must feel cursed by God.
Claire, you have to give this up. First of all, rabbis are doing a lot more to spread the Noahide laws than you're doing spreading secular Quranism. They actually have organizations. There's actually Noahides that have temples. You have none of that.
What temples? What temples? Where?
They're growing up all over the country, all over the
Like
world.
mushrooms or toadstools or something.
Okay, well,
I
it's
mean,
starting. What is secular Quranism? And the idea that you're going to get all these rabbis that have invested all this time and all this money and have all these congregants, and you're just going to convince them to say, well, you know what, let's just give all this up and spread something that's not Noahide.
okay, this is what I'm going to tell the Muslims to do. I'm just saying, look, these Jews, you hate them, don't you? Well, go and ask them about the Noahide laws and and ask these Orthodox rabbis what the hell they're supposed to do with them, and I bet these rabbis will just run away and refuse to engage because they're so ashamed of their mission that has extended for centuries.
It's not like that. It was the time of the, Claire, you take this thing that doesn't have any holes in it, and you're trying to put holes in it and act like people are going to want that. The
Muslims are going to want to do that.
It was the time of the concealment. The time of the concealment is over. The Noahide laws are spreading on time, just like they're supposed to.
Can you stop and tell us what you mean by the time of concealment?
The time of concealment was when the Jews were out of Israel and they couldn't tell people about all these things because they would get killed. They couldn't reveal, everything during the time of the concealment. It was just, it was not the time.
Okay, I get it that Jews living in Christian Europe, would feel a bit shy of telling Christians that they're idolaters and blasphemers.
Yes, but now it's not. Now that time is over, and it's the time, and there's no reason to interrupt what's already spreading and working and growing to make it, for an inferior product that doesn't even meet the demand. Why would anyone do that?
Sorry, why would anyone do what?
Why would anyone give up their own project that's working to take something that's substandard and doesn't meet the requirements and, doesn't have any followers? And why would they just start all over again?
Well, because anti-Semitism is on the rise, and nobody is going to just say, "Oh, hey, Jews, well, let us submit ourselves to your rabbinical rulings."
They're not going to do that. You don't even understand the Noahide laws. First of all, the only reason anti-Semitism is spreading is because Jews are not talking about the Noahide laws. Nobody really hates these Orthodox rabbis that are preaching the Noahide laws. If you go around, you'll notice that Muslims, don't scream about, they don't attack Orthodox rabbis.
Vincent, Could you just keep talking while I leave for a few minutes? I'll be back.
Yes.
Okay, I'll just let you talk for a bit, okay?
Okay. Well, no one, it gets repetitive that people are going to drop everything for this. That the Jews are going to drop 2,000 years of planning for secular Quranism. That's like anticlimactic in that it doesn't fulfill their vision. It's like they're giving up on their vision, and that's it. And then that's it. So let me talk about the birds a little bit. The white and light tan one that's down at the bottom on the blue perch all the way to the left, eating the cuttle bone. If you can see it, her name is Milky Way. And if you see, she just jumped into the middle and tried to peck at somebody. And she's being territorial about the nest because it's eggs. Now, society finches are not supposed to be very territorial. Unfortunately, she's going after the silver bills who have nothing to do with this. And yeah, she's by that cuttle bone. If you see her all the way on the left towards the bottom of the screen, Milky Way. The silver bills are called Silver and Bill. Yes, she's going after them.
I'm back. So what have you been saying?
No, my bird is not being good.
How is it not being good?
It's attacking the silver bills because she has eggs and she's getting territorial.
Oh, right. So the silver bills are the bigger birds.
No, the silver bills are the smaller birds. When they come up to the front, I'll tell you about them. Let's talk about the birds. Because we've talked about that a million times. I'll just tell you what's going on, not only for a few minutes. We'll get back to our conversation. We'll get back to our conversation about now, Claire. You want to believe that rabbis are going to give up 2,000 years of planning for something that doesn't meet their goal and doesn't fulfill their prophecies or anything like that? Then go ahead. But you're very arrogant.
It is fulfilling their prophecies.
It's not useful for fulfilling their prophecies.
No, because they're discharging their obligation by doing this thing, which they've never ever done in their entire
they're doing
history. They haven't done it.
Claire, you just do this in that it's the time of the concealment, and then you're saying, well, God had a plan, but I have a better plan. And then, you offer this thing. No, it doesn't fulfill their prophecies. God never said that you're gonna dispense with your obligation to the Gentiles and hand it over to a new people with a new scripture and a new name and all this other kind of stuff.
There's a verse in the Quran that says God will not burden us with a soul with a burden greater than it can bear.
Not greater than it can bear. They're very easy.
Yeah, they can't do it. They haven't done it at all.
Claire, it's growing faster than secular Quranism. You think they're going to give up their plan that's working for something that gets them? They're no longer the center.
Well, I think we're heading towards World War III.
Yeah, and the Noahide.
Okay, so they're going to completely lose any moral authority after World War III because everybody will want to kick them.
Yeah, no, Claire. Claire, they're gaining moral authority. Israel's becoming more conservative. It's about to become more theocratic anyway. And they're doing a lot better than you are. And the Noahide laws are what's going to bring peace. You're counting on World War III, but what's going to happen is people are going to accept the Noahide laws and things are going to get a lot better, actually.
So how do you envisage it rolling out? I mean, tell us about your scenario.
Okay, I see the Noahide movement continue to grow and rabbis not give up on it, and it doesn't go away, and it only grows and grows and grows. And at first, all the Christians and all the Muslims and all the Hindus and all the Buddhists are going to say, "Oh, there's nothing to it," and or they're going to say it's good. And then eventually, those ones that say there's nothing to it, once it's really big and they can't deny it anymore, are going to say it's good. And then you're going to have a bunch of people that have converted. And then you're going to have a bunch of people that are not going to get in the way and think it's good, even if they haven't converted. And then, eventually they're going to have everyone on their side, and, things will get peaceful and the Jews will be in control for a while. There's going to be a rebellion, but, that's just, in my opinion, the way things are going to go.
Okay, this is how I envisage my ideal scenario rolling out. So, the Muslims who've always hated the Jews want to shame the Jews. They understand my plan about shaming the Jews, because the Jews won't rank Islam the most Noahide religion, and Christianity the least Noahide religion. So they all get together and they shame all these rabbis for not doing what they were chosen by God to do. And
Where
then
does it
eventually they
say?
do it, and they post a ranking on Twitter and other social media, and everybody gets a message. The Christians get the message, and they are ashamed for all their centuries of idolatry and blasphemy, and then they repent, and they adopt secular Quranism, which is
Claire,
better than other.
Claire, you need to give up on this idea. First of all, you have no evidence that Jews were chosen to rank the four Gentile religions. Second, God would never say, okay, the Jews are, there's four non-Noahide compliant religions. They do not conform to the Noahide laws. None of them do. But why don't you choose the one that's the least offensive? God wouldn't do that.
I just don't see why not.
Well, then if you think God's going to change his mind and allow things that he forbade and suggest that that's what you do for all of eternity.
Yeah, because it's the logical choice.
No, okay, so you think God changed his mind?
No, I'm not saying that. So
Yes, he
the
did.
idea is that
He didn't tell anyone.
he
No,
changed his mind about what?
he changed his mind about what the role of Jews are and what they're supposed to be doing
It's
and what
still
rules,
central to my plan.
what rules you have to follow. You're saying that God laid something down and then he changed his mind.
Okay, they are fulfilling their duty and serving their purpose by doing
Who said that?
recommend. So if they do it, they're actually doing what God intended them to do, and therefore, this is, and it's easy for them to do it because all they have to do is rank the four Gentile religions.
No, Claire.
This is so easy,
you have
and
no
they'll go,
proof.
"Oh my God, why didn't
You
we
have
think of
no
that
proof.
before?"
Claire, you have no proof that that God wanted them to rank the.
Well, no, but I mean, God, if he exists, would be logical and rational, and expect Jews to be clever enough to work it out. But I'm afraid they're so degenerate that it's left to me to keep pushing them, and they don't want to because they're scared, or they're just embarrassed that they haven't done it and haven't thought of it before I did. So I'm going to get the Muslim to embarrass them, and then eventually, they'll have to rank the four Gentile religions, and then the Christians will throw their hands up in horror at what they've been doing for 2,000 years, and then repent by adopting secular Quranism or Islam.
Okay, this is your plan.
That's my plan.
Yeah, it's your plan, and I know your plan, and I love it. And there's nothing more to discuss because you're just convinced of this fantasy, and you're convinced of this monumental shift in religion, society, sexuality, marriage, economics.
Yes, because if you listen to Twitter Spaces, the mood is going towards patriarchy and slut shaming and maybe Islam, even though we hate it, and Christian nationalism, and they're moving that way already.
Yeah, they're all behind fake profiles and don't organize in real life, and they're a pack of losers.
Well, I think more and more people are, using their real name now.
Yeah,
and you should hang out.
What percentage of people on Facebook or on Twitter, when they're racist, use their real profile face?
Well, I think you'll find a more sort of educated kind of white nationalist on Twitter
who hide their face. Why did that Indian doctor and Gazelle, why don't they show their face? You know, because they're homophobes. None of these people, except for the very rare few, go up on with their face proclaiming these things, and none of them have any followers. There's no organized anything that can militantly enforce this. And, you know, there's not enough of them because half of conservatives don't want to get rid of gay people. And, you know, half of conservatives, their relatives are gaily married, and a quarter of them are actually into gays. You have log cabin Republicans who are gay Republicans, and then you have a bunch of Republicans that are pro-gay marriage, and not every single Republican is all that religious. And actually, they're more economic Republicans and believe in capitalism, and either they're gay or they support gay rights. So, you know, the idea that these people are going to take over real soon, you know, and you know, the Noahides are more organized, have more centralized authority, and they have the side of the Jews and the government, and they're not terrorists. They're not labeled as terrorists. They can show their faces, and they do. And, you know, the idea that a bunch of unorganized teenagers who don't show their face and have no money, or, you know, even professionals who are scared to show their face, and the best they can do is be homophobic and make jokes on the internet, are going to take over, then I don't know.
Andrew Tate, the Muslims are backing him. You know,
I didn't
fighting
say
his
Muslim.
corner.
I didn't
And
say
now there's Russell Brand.
I'm talking about American right-wing people. I'm not talking about Muslims. They're a different story. They're more likely to take over. I'm more scared of them than white nationalism right now. I'm not scared of a bunch, you know, they're so immature. It's unbelievable. And they couldn't organize them. They can't organize their own lives. How are they going to organize other people? And, you know, you talk about, oh, there's these professionals who don't show their face and don't want to lose a job. Let me tell you, 99% of doctors that are in the hospitals that are transphobic and don't believe in the trans agenda keep their mouths shut because they want to lose their jobs. They're cowards. How many doctors, which there's millions of them, go on a tirade against trans medicine and get fired? Like, how often does that happen? How often do you think a Muslim man feeding his family gets fired for his principles?
Well, the idea is to shame them, and there are quite a few.
Who's going to shame them if everyone's hiding? Who's going to shame them?
Well, I think the activists, you know, will just do what they do, and you know, I guess people don't care about, you know, Muslims that they don't know, so that, you know, the focus will always be on the activists who, with their YouTube channels and whatever, who will be, you know, saying all the things that they need to say. So I know you're not following anybody at the moment on Spaces because you've got 876 followers, which is pretty good, and you're only following 143. I mean, I'll you know, give you a few recommendations about who to follow.
I got to get out of this. This is the Hindus for Trump. This is the Hindus for Trump. I don't have a regular Twitter. I have to get it. You know, but I don't know what to tell you, Claire. You're very there's an arrogance to you in that you're very dismissive of everyone. You're very dismissive of absolutely everyone. And, you know, basically it's all going to go your way and you're the only one. It's very arrogant, you know.
Well, obviously, I have to paint the, you know, the to give you the best case scenario. I mean, I'd be, you know, remiss not to tell you what I hope will happen.
It's
but I think people are scared, aren't they?
Like, it's absolutely going to happen, and you're very like, oh, nobody's going to want anything else. And if anyone's not on your side, it's because they're scared of Christians, or they're being, you know, they're not really, you know, they're lying and they believe what you say, but they're just being, you know, stubborn. And, you know, it's just because they have a character flaw that they don't want to become involved with secular Quranism, and everything is a conspiracy against you. And, like, it's insane.
But it works. You accuse people of anti-Semitism. You accuse them of Islamophobia. You accuse them of being unmarriageable, which is why they won't support secular Quranism. You know, just label them and shame them, and you know, like I think gay people should support secular Quranism because you know it would be better for them anyway. You know, and I mean nobody's going to throw them off tall buildings or anything. They
I
can't
don't.
they just agree? Can't they just agree that children would be better off brought up by their two biological married parents living together? Why can't they even say that?
You know, too many gay people want their own kids. I mean, the idea that gay people are going to get on board on abolishing gay adoption. You're very. I mean, you think people are going to go against their own interests? Do you expect me to go against my own interests, my own beliefs, my own work? I have my own agenda, and you expect me to just drop everything, go against my principles, and just adopt secular Quranism because, and that's your only reason. That's your only reason why on earth I would adopt secular Quranism.
Well, I'm sure some gay people believe in God.
They don't believe. They don't believe in abolishing gay adoption, and they don't believe in Allah. They believe in some, you know, polytheist or liberal God that allows everything. You know, you want to believe that this is, you know, more likely to happen, then, you know, I don't know what to tell you, but there's not a lot of evidence for your way growing into, you know, the solution that everyone's looking for.
But don't gay people believe in the Abrahamic God? I mean, you know,
No, I don't. Most gay people, and if they do, they don't believe in that anti-gay God. They adulterate it and say God loves gay people and gay marriage is good in God's eyes, and they're not running around.
it's easy to disabuse some of it, but, you know, just by pointing them to scripture
Oh,
and all the death penalties and stuff. And to show them how far we are away from, you know, what God, if he exists, might wish. And then they can just repent.
good luck with that, Claire. Good luck with that.
But maybe straight people want to do, you know, marry and have children
Claire,
and want the government to support marriage
this is so outrageously absurd. And the idea that more than 50% of people, because you have to take in consideration second and third marriages, are divorced. You know, the idea that the idea that these people are going to outlaw divorce when more than 50% of them are divorced is ridiculous.
I'm not proposing to outlaw divorce. There's a whole chapter
No,
on
no
divorce in the
fault
Quran.
divorce. No fault divorce.
Well, I'm sure a lot of men, you know, wealthy men would want not to have no fault divorce.
They're minority.
Well, even not very wealthy men can see the justice of um, abolishing no fault divorce. I mean, if you want to support marriage, then you'll have to discourage marriage by making it harder for people to divorce. And if they do, then you have to shame them.
Okay, well,
And I mean, it doesn't cost any money.
Claire, you have no practical way of accomplishing this. Like, you have no practical way of changing the society overnight like that. You have no practical application to do that.
Well, okay, the story could be more and more people on Twitter reading secular Quranism and talking about it and asking themselves if they have anything better, you know, the social conservatives. And aren't gay people also a bit scared about how things are going in America? I mean, maybe going shopping is a bit frightening considering, I don't know, all the gangs of people who just take stuff from shops. I bet the shops are concerned. I mean, I was just reading today that shoplifting in the UK has gone through the roof, and it came from your country because we heard about shoplifting no longer even being a felony anymore. You're aware of that, aren't you?
In some states, yeah, it's like that. Well,
Oh, I mean, aren't there signs of increasing lawlessness you know, in your
yeah,
neighborhood?
but nobody's going to think to get rid of this is going to be eliminate no fault divorce, gay marriage, gay adoption, whip unwed mothers in public, slavery. People are not going to fall for that.
Why not? They've offered, things like, oh yeah, changing their sex is sort of, people do something drastic and they think as a result of them doing something drastic, their lives are going to change. That's why so many people want to change their sex, thinking, ooh, if I do this really drastic thing, then my life is going to change dramatically for the better. And then they kill themselves when they discover it's only worsened their lives. Isn't that the problem? But I mean, the lure of people thinking that doing something drastic is going to increase their happiness is still there. I mean that's why people practice human sacrifice. It's like, oh, we show you how much we love you, God.
So
Bye.
how are you going to do this if absolutely nobody wants to pick up your literature because nobody has, and everybody you come across just wants to cancel you and wants nothing to do with you?
Well, okay, a few people I have spoken to on Spaces have shown interest. And they've actually said, I'm going to order your book. I
Claire,
don't agree with you, but I mean, it sounds interesting. I'll have a look.
Claire,
And
Claire, there is a society that their main goal is to swim out into the ocean and have sex with dolphins. There's more of those people than people who are contemplating secular Quranism.
but think of any revolution. It's only by a few people. They mastermind the whole thing.
Yeah, but I mean, if there's less of you than people who believe in having sex with dolphins, then, I think that you're not getting anywhere.
I think it's a matter of um, controlling the media.
What's your plan to get that done? Because you haven't been able to.
Okay, so I'm saying that actually lots of media outlets, and it doesn't have to be, CNN or BBC. The story can just come out, and then it can go viral on social media, and until it becomes unignorable for legacy media, and then they'll have to talk about it. And when they talk about it, it'll reach critical mass. I mean, it's not that hard to imagine. And you could be part of it.
Claire, I should be your litmus test that you're not able to get me to go against my own interests, to go against gay marriage, gay adoption, no full divorce. What if I want to get a no full divorce? Public whippings, slavery, the collapse of the economy overnight. And if you can't get me to do that, what makes you think you're going to get other people to do that?
Well, you're obviously attached to your own ideas, but other people will be thinking, well, we agree with you that this is a problem. America doesn't have an official religion, and this means that Congress and the entire corrupt and incompetent ruling class is unaccountable. Is unaccountable to the electorate. They just do whatever they like because they control, the levers of power, the judiciary or the media or the police or the army or whatever it is that they happen to control, the education system, and they do whatever they like. And if you put it to ordinary Americans who are complaining about the system and tell them where the problem comes from, it's because America doesn't have an official religion, making their ruling classes unaccountable.
Let me just hold.
Then everything will fall into place. And they'll
I,
say, well, we better get ourselves an official moral system. And I say, but it can't be Christianity because of the founding fathers separating the church from the state. And they say, okay, it must be Islam then. And I say, well, if you're a bit scared of Islam, there's secular Quranism. So don't be afraid. And then you can interpret it in the way you like. And you can interpret it liberally. Which is recommended at this stage because you kind of need to slowly get people used to the idea. You can't turn into Saudi Arabia or anything like that. You have to slowly introduce these ideas to them, and it will be fun.
Well, the Jews are already doing that with the Noahide laws. They're not coming out guns blazing and be like, behead Christians. They're not coming out like that, Claire. They're making a line.
I'm gradualist too.
Well, they don't.
And in theory, these Muslims can help me because they really hate Jews.
They don't call Christians idolaters, the Jews, because they know that it's not. They're not. No one's ready for that. And you're on record calling them idolaters every single day of the week.
Well, they are, and I'm saying if God exists, there's a problem. He must be plenty mad at Christians, and also Jews who never told Christians, and also these Muslims who never told Christians. And I only discovered this thing called Event at Mubahala. You can find it on Wikipedia, but it's basically Muhammad challenging Christians and saying, your Trinity ain't true. And they hummed and they hard and they somehow got away with it. And that was the only time Muslims ever obeyed chapter 18, verse 4 of the Quran. And so they're in disgrace too. And, I think maybe it's part of their humiliation that I, of all people, not even Muslim, have to point out to them that, they've been neglecting their religious obligations just as badly as Jews have.
Well, maybe it's time for a third revelation.
There's no need for further revelation because the story is that the Quran is a final revelation.
The Muslims are not.
And every now and then people need a kind of reminder and a warning. And, I'm it, I guess.
Okay, well, you know what? Never put it down that, look, religions are invented every day and take over and become the fastest growing religion on earth. And, what's to stop someone from saying the Muslims aren't doing their job? God needs to send a third revelation and I'm his prophet. And, here's my book and follow my law. And because Muslims, what if somebody turns this around on you and says,
yeah, they've tried to do that. The Baha'is have tried to do that.
I know. Look, Claire, someone could just say, well, the Muslims aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. So, there needs to be a third revelation.
Well, no. Actually, okay, this is the argument I would use against what you just said. So Muslims are supposed to believe the Quran's the last revelation, but but they'd have to acknowledge that they don't follow the book properly because they keep cherry picking. So the solution to not following it properly is to follow it properly next time.
So this is Claire. You're really. You think that, okay, this is what you're telling everyone. The Jews were chosen to teach the Noahide laws. They didn't do it, so God sent the Muslims and a second revelation. The Muslims, under your own acknowledgement, are not doing what they're supposed to be doing, but that means God would never send a third revelation. It's nonsensical. Everything you say makes no sense.
Why wouldn't it make sense? If it is true that the Abrahamic God revealed the Torah for Jews, and then he saw that the Jews were having difficulty following it, so he thought, well, I better give them something easier, and that's a Quran. And expecting the Jews to say, let's go with the Quran, but they didn't because they were so prideful that they wanted their revelation to be the best ever, and even when they realized it wasn't, they just wanted to keep believing in that story, and so they just pretended that the Quran wasn't even from God.
okay, you say God changed his mind once, but he can't change his mind twice.
No,
Like
I'm not saying he changed. I'm not
he
saying he
changed
changed his
because he's no
mind.
longer using the Jews. He's using somebody else. It's he did change his mind because according to your way, he said you're not up to it. And so I'm going to send a different person and a different religion and a different book, and you're not the light unto the nations. And you changed the whole revelation, and you're demanding that everyone believe God changed it once, but he can't change it twice.
Jews are still light unto nations. No, but I mean, they still have their status and they're still capable of discharging their
Yeah,
religious duty. And I'm going to encourage them to do it, and so are Muslims. And together they'll get Christians to give up their idolatry and blasphemy and
you
repent and become Muslims.
you matter maybe some people will say, well, Islam actually doesn't fulfill all of what God wants. It's only closer, but it actually is not what he wanted. And what if
Well,
people
it's the best we have, so we better use
what
that.
if people say, well, we want the real McCoy, we don't want a fake product, and they say, well, Islam doesn't fit the bill and we need a third revelation because
Beggars can't be choosers.
well, yes, they can. Well, all you need is a third revelation, and everything's fine. You don't need to choose.
Okay, well, the
That,
Baha'is have
no,
tried and they've
Claire.
failed and nobody likes them.
This is what you say. This is what you say that God made a perfect meal with the Jews, and the Jews are serving a perfect meal. Then God said, "Well, you're not serving it well enough, so let me make a meal that tastes like shit and that's gross and is missing ingredients, and offer it up. And when people say, I don't want this second plate, I want a third plate that's clean and nice, tastes good, put together, that they're just going to ignore that, and they're just going to eat second-rate gross food when they have a choice.
No, no. Okay, okay. The Torah is analogous to kosher food, which not it's not that tasty, I guess. Well, curries are nice. I like curry, and lots of people like curry, even though they're not Muslim, and people do like curry. So there's nothing wrong with the recipe book of the Quran if you're going to apply that analogy.
There was nothing wrong with the recipe book of the Jews either.
Okay, but I mean, it's too hard for them.
No, it's
And
too.
that's why they were too scared to tell the Christians,
Do
or they had to tell the Christians.
you pretend to be this illogical, or is this like real? Because you say the Jews aren't up to it, and then in the same breath you say the Muslims aren't up to it, but God.
Yes, and they needed me. They need me to come and tell them
So
what
then
they need to do, and they're going to keep fighting me for a bit, I suppose.
you're spreading a third revelation or something of
No,
equivalent.
no, I'm not. The thing is, I'm not doing it. I'm just saying this is how you should interpret, and everything will come right.
Your
And
inter-
it's not that it is
your
easy to understand.
your interpretation relies on a new revelation of how to interpret the Quran, and you also say that this is what God wants. So
Yes.
if well, then that's a revelation that nobody could have seen this without you. So you're a third revelation, Claire.
No, I'm just interpreting it correctly, and that's it. I'm not saying, oh, here's the book that I wrote or
No,
found.
what you're
I'm
saying,
not doing anything like that. I'm
you're
saying you interpret it wrong. How about interpreting it this way? And
I
it's not
know
that hard
God
what you have to do.
did. You're saying God now through me is giving you a new interpretation which he never intended, and it's the new revelation. That's a new revelation to say that there's no way to get to these interpretations except through me, and it's what God wants, but it's not a new revelation. You can't have everything together.
No, no, I'm saying they interpreted it wrong, and I'm interpreting it correctly, and I think they'll prefer my interpretation because it's so easily doable.
What's
That's what
what
that's
how
what I'm not asking them to climb Mount Everest on their own without, supplies or whatever. I'm just saying you just do this on social media and eventually it will get to critical mass and all the media have to do is just report the news again. That's all that's required. I mean, it's quite an interesting story. People will want to talk about it, and they'll just talk about it, with each other, and it'll happen. Because okay, come on, you immediately understood my story. It's not like it took you ages to understand my weird conspiracy theory. You instantly understood what I was saying. You just didn't agree with it. And all you have to do is talk to another person about it, and that person will want to talk to another person about it, and then it will, get to
Well,
critical mass.
organically, Claire. It's not, look, a lot of people start something and they get 20 million shares and they're not on big media and they didn't do anything except for post one comment and it went viral, and you can't do that.
Well, I think because so many people are afraid of the future, and they're probably, looking behind them and thinking that they might have done something wrong and God might exist and might curse them. And I'm going to be emphatic about how Jews are cursed because it's in the book of Deuteronomy, curses for disobedience, and God repeats in the Quran that He will curse hypocrites who are people claiming to be Muslims and but who won't do what their religious principles require them to do, and there's so many of them. People like William, people like Carol. Because okay, you know what I've been saying about the founding fathers and what George Washington said. He said, don't have political parties because that will be the end of you. So the messiness of the of politics in America is because you just ignored his advice. So I pointed this out to Carol and she just ignored it. Like, oh, I don't care. Even if George Washington said it, who is he to tell me what to do? And I said, okay, there's a verse in the Quran, chapter 6, 159, warning people not to divide their political religion into sects. And I pointed it out to her, and she said, oh, I don't care. So I mean, she's obviously guilty of hidden idolatry. Which is basically, giving irrational and irrelevant reasons for not following the principles of her her religion.
Okay, Claire, well, you're saying you can't do it organically, even though, in the day of social media, if something is good, it can get as many views as you want. And you're saying, well, I can't spread it organically, so I need to get on the media and, take over the media and get the media pumping out my stuff constantly because nobody wants to talk about it. So I basically have to hypnotize them, with
Just getting it's only I'm just concentrating on Twitter because Twitter is quite a safe space for social conservatives and white nationalists and people like that. I mean, if you hang out there more often, you'll see what I mean.
They're not. It's like the Quran is in there. It doesn't prove your point.
Well, I don't know. I just feel that I'm making some progress. Well on YouTube I just get
I'm not saying you're not making.
reported and struck and whatever. I actually gain new followers on Twitter Spaces just by talking to people. And you should join me too.
Yes, I will. I'm going to make an account.
And then you'll see what I mean because I know you kind of thinking, oh, that's what she says. I bet it's not true. But I think you'll have to experience it, and you have to, go to listen to a few spaces, speak in a few spaces, and then get yourself known and collect a few followers, and you know, and know which community you're in, and it's just finding your niche.
Yeah, well, I will. I'm going to do that. It's on my list of things to do. So I started coming on here with you, and I didn't have a YouTube channel until I started. What's it called? Streaming with you. So I'll probably get a Twitter Spaces nonsense.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna narrate my birds, but they're not really doing anything right now. They're just sometimes during the day they all get really still, and they're not very uppity. But this one in the front right now is a silver bill. In the middle, they're
Mm-hmm.
they're smaller.
Mm-hmm.
The two of them are together now.
Okay, the couple.
Yes,
And then
that's
there's sort of four of them at the bottom right-hand corner, all huddled together.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes,
Mhm.
that is Hope, um, Bolt, Nutmeg or Chestnut, Nayla, Aurora, and I think Blackie or Midnight. Blackie. Oh no, that's not Aurora. That's in the middle. And the second one from the right is Cheeky.
Hmm.
And the
And
white
how many books have you got exactly?
I have I think 19 or 20.
Mm-hmm.
That white one, if you look all the way to the left, the white one up
Mm-hmm.
all the way above everyone.
I
That's
see it.
she likes the swing. She goes on the swing a lot, and right now she's picking at the coconut fiber where they build the nest from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And let's see, is he gonna do a mating dance? He might sing in a sec. Oh, he did it very quietly for a minute. I don't know if you heard it, but his song is different from the Society Finch. Yeah, they're just being quiet right now, so I'm not going to narrate them because there's no stories to tell. They're not jumping.
Mm-hmm.
They're in their little sleep mode.
Mm-hmm.
They're in their little sleep mode.
So when they go to sleep, do they go into the baskets above? Is that
Yes.
what you call? Okay.
Yeah, they
And
do.
they sleep together.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one singing now is what's his name? Ripple. He has a very distinct song.
Is that the one with his back to us?
No, it was the one down in the middle on the green perch. There
Mm-hmm.
he's singing now. If you look at him, you can see his throat moving.
Mm-hmm.
He's down in the middle, he just
Right.
turned around. He just turned around and um that's singing right now is Nutmeg. He's up on the left, top left.
Mm-hmm.
You can see him kind of moving around and
Oh, yes,
singing.
I can see his mouth chirping away.
Yeah, he's chirping away right now. Only the boys sing, the girls don't sing. So
Is that always the way?
yes, only the boys sing. Girls don't sing.
Okay, I suppose girls are supposed to see which which male is the most healthy by his singing, I guess, and then
Oh,
choose
another
to
thing.
mate with him. You think
Yeah,
that's a purpose?
part of it. Yeah, part of it. That's the purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Part of it. We'll wait till they're more active. They're very therapeutic to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I did a stream on mine of them.
Mm-hmm. Oh, we've got somebody in the chat.
What do they say?
KL asking you if you're Turkish. I guess you look a
Yeah,
bit Turkish to him.
I'm a quarter Turkish.
Uh-huh. Have you been to Turkey?
No, I haven't.
Which quarter of you comes from Turkey?
My father.
I see. How's your mother?
She doesn't talk to me.
Are you still not on speaking terms?
No, well, she's the one who made it that way, and
Oh, she doesn't want to talk to you?
no, she doesn't, and it's not the worst of things she's ever done, and I just have problems with my mother and my father. Not so. My father, I do have problems, but not right now. I don't. It, I don't have a problem with my father, and that we're fighting right now. But my parents and I's relationship is not very good. Well, me and my father are good now, but I still have issues, unresolved issues that I don't bring up because we're getting along.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Do you?
Yeah, I don't bring everything up because who's singing right now? Who's singing right now? Oh, I don't know who is singing. Oh, I'm looking for who's singing. I can't find anyone singing. Oh, he's down at the bottom. It's Ripple. It was Ripple who just flew up. Yeah.
So, what do you and your mother argue about, or is it the same sort of thing that you and your father argue about?
Well, I don't really want to get into that because God forbid he hears this. Then I don't want to be like talking. If we're in a good terms, then I, why would I bring up something? In private I do. When I'm off stream, I talk about that. But I'm not gonna make a problem. And why make a problem? I mean, I have issues. I have internal issues that are unresolved. But what am I gonna do about that?
Well, try and resolve them as soon as possible, I suppose.
They're unresolvable. That's just things that happen that damaged me that I'm not able to get over and stuff like that.
Have you tried writing it down in a diary?
Yes, I have, but just writing it without anyone seeing it doesn't really help me.
Well, they say it does help anyway, because I mean, a lot of advice is, you write it down, and then it's like there's somebody you really hate, and then you just say exactly what you want to do to them, and blah blah blah, and then you're supposed to burn the letter, and never send it, but you still feel better because what you've done is to articulate your emotions, and once you've done that, you kind of get rid of their ability to disturb you, because you kind of analyze all your emotions by formulating sentences describing the origin, or um, the reason, and the description of your emotions, and just doing that makes you feel better. I guess that's why people like whinging and moaning. It's people want to feel listened to, and if nobody listens to them, at least they've managed to express themselves in a way that is intelligible, and in theory capable of being read by a third party, and that brings you closer to resolution. But if it's just sort of bad feeling, and you never express it properly because you never tell anybody else, it kind of settles and makes you, well, angry and uncomfortable. Maybe it's a kind of constipation.
Mm.
And maybe if there's something, and you write it down, and then maybe you want to go back over it to see that you express it properly in a way that is understandable by somebody who doesn't even know you, and then you keep going back and going back until it writes like a novel, and then you've got something good out of it.
Right.
Well, I mean, that's how people start writing. I mean, writers start writing through keeping a diary. Okay, people don't think of doing that now because they're always posting stuff on Facebook or whatever. But it is, when you think of all the trouble that people get into and complain about being censored. It's basically, oh, listen to me. Listen to me, even though I haven't got anything much to say that is any different to what other. But I want you to listen to me, drone on and rant on about whatever's on my mind. And this is just, well, it's almost like birdsong, isn't it? Because I bet these male birds don't, these cocks, I suppose you call them. I mean, they don't really have anything to say. They just want to show off to the hens, right? I mean, and that is really their purpose. They're not really saying anything profound other than listen to me, look at me. I'm so handsome, and my voice is so loud, and it's louder than all the others. And look at me, so I can mate with you. Because I find that a lot of people actually I'm thinking of David and I'm thinking of Jen, and it's like, well, what are you saying anyway? It doesn't lead anywhere. It doesn't, get anyone anywhere. But they want everybody to listen to them. And I mean, to the extent that David just reads books that he knows nobody will listen to. Or okay, maybe he gets a few people in a chat, but they're only there not to really listen attentively to what he's saying, but to hang out with each other and maybe insult him, you know. And I guess that is the kind of thing you want people to listen to you drone on, then you have to offer them hospitality, and the hospitality comes in the form of giving people a live chat to post insults about you, and to exchange news and gossip with each other.
Right.
I mean, it's not even about political activism, I don't think. I mean, if you look at Luke, I mean, does he really say anything? I mean, he just plays people along. On the one hand, he'll pretend to be, so dissident, right, and go through a list of their talking points, and then the next day, his trick would be to say, "You're silly if you ever thought," and then he'd go through the list of alt-right talking points. And he'll repeat the same cycle, and that is what gives him satisfaction, and that is what amuses his subscribers. It's all getting attention, isn't it?
I guess. I mean, yeah, everyone, you want attention too, Claire.
Yeah, I know, but I have a purpose. I have a plan.
Well,
I
I
have an
started
agenda.
writing out my plan for gay militancy, and I'm using the Noahide laws in that. I believe in making a set of laws that are an application, to help us basically take over society. And, that kind of like, that checklist.
What the anti-Noahide laws?
Well, it's anti-Noahide, but it's also pro-homosexual in that it's not just prohibitions. It's like, do this, do that, enforce this, enforce that.
Well, you need to build up a following, I guess.
Yeah, once I'm done with the writing, I'll do that.
So how's the job? Are you still at the one that you were talking about the last time we spoke about your job?
Yeah, it's going well.
In the kitchen, isn't it?
It's in a sub shop.
Oh, a what shop?
Sub.
Oh, right.
Hold on 1 second. I'm just draining my pasta.
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting some salt in. I'm about to eat. I'll eat with you.
Mm-hmm. I've had my pasta too.
You had pasta?
Yes.
Um,
So KL knows Luke Ford and thinks he's bisexual. What do you think of that?
what? Say it again?
KL in the chat says he gets bisexual vibes from Luke Ford.
Oh, well, I don't know. You know, he wasn't porn or not in porn. He was a porn reporter. I think if you're a man in porn, I would say you're a little bit more likely to be gay because, well, obviously you're very highly sexed. And the problem is there's lots of straight men out there that it's it's less that they're gay even though they are gay. It's more that they'll just have sex with anything. I mean,
Mhm.
there's men out there, and I think that's the type of men maybe that do porn a little bit more, and I think those are the type that they're involved in drugs, and when you do drugs, some men turn gay when they do drugs. You know, I think it's more likely that he's bisexual if he was in porn.
Yeah, I mean he's been quite anti-gay in what he says about them. But I suppose it's kind of realizing that if he became gay, he would be so gay that he can't even think about becoming gay. I think that's the impression I get. Oh, and KL says all closet bisexual married white men must embrace their bisexuality openly. And what would be the point of that, KL? And he goes on to say he talked about the penis of Lexington Steele, a porn star, in a very creepy way. I don't know who this. Have you heard of Lexington Steele?
No, I have not.
Okay. Well, maybe KL might like to know that you did once consider becoming a porn star.
Yes. Yes, I might still do it if I lose weight, and it depends on what I'm doing exactly. I'm not so young and nice anymore, but that doesn't necessarily. You can still be a hot porn star without being like young and perfect.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so many genres of porn that I suppose I guess even if you're the opposite of hot, and you know
Yeah.
maybe a lot of people who are not physically perfect might like to imagine being the lucky paunchy or skinny guy, um, getting it off with all these women. Um, oh, so Lexington Steele is a black porn star. But he must be retired by now because he was born in 1969.
Yeah.
Oh, and he had to have a hip replacement, apparently. And he at one point he was engaged to a porn actress called Vanessa Blue. And they appeared on Playboy TV and in several movies. But they broke up.
Oh.
Well, anyway, he hasn't got children. Well, not according to this Wikipedia entry.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. I don't know what Luke Ford is sitting around talking about that before. That about. I'm. Let me tell you something. Real Christian men that go to church every day don't talk about things like this. They might talk about porn and say it's bad, but they don't talk about the size of a man's penis in porn. It's just not something they want to bring up. There's no reason to bring it up. And it's just, they would never think that there's any reason to bring that up. And if you're in a conservative environment, there isn't. There's not one reason why you would discuss a porn star's penis. And that would be appropriate. And all these right wing men that pretend that they're so conservative, this is the stuff all they just talk about degenerate stuff all day.
Mm-hmm.
All day.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're not that far from it themselves.
Well, everybody's degenerate these days, aren't they?
Yeah, and even to find it funny, to find that humor to be funny is degenerate. It's still degenerate humor that you're spreading.
So basically, I'm arguing on Twitter with a lot of Christians. Just informing them that, they might have the wrong religion and it could be bad for their mortal souls, and, they might like to think of giving it up, but, it's not so terrible because they've got a replacement. But I think the story is quite instructive about how stubborn people can be. I mean, going on for generations and centuries and even millennia. It's like, well, it's so obvious. Well, it's obvious to me, and I've been. Yes, I mean, I suppose I've taken a few years of my life to think about these things, and nobody will discuss it with me because I guess they don't want to admit that I could be right, because I guess they would feel a bit foolish, wouldn't they? It's like for Christians, it's like, oh, for 2,000 years, but we didn't notice it could be, our religion could be idolatry and blasphemy. It's like, well, actually, if you'd thought about it a little bit, you would have noticed, all those idols of Jesus and Mary and church.
Well, I don't think the type of person that becomes Christian is a logical person. And so I don't, or an academically honest person either. Actually, to be Christian, you have to be academically dishonest because there's just so much nonsense that Christians say happened that didn't happen. And
Because it's so unbelievable.
the point is, people are not going to leave Christianity if they didn't join it for logical reasons. Obviously, anyone who accepts the Trinity wasn't doing that because it's logical. So good luck with that. I mean, the idea that, rationalism doesn't even work with people.
Well, no, because apparently we live in a post-truth society, don't we? You've heard that expression, haven't you?
Yes.
So it means that we live in a society where people just say, well, so what if it's true? So what if it's logical? Most people are illogical and don't care if they support lies. So, and they're the majority, and so we must submit to the majority, even though that we know they're stupid and wrong. That's the attitude now. I mean, don't you find that just a little infuriating?
Of course I do. I mean, well, I do find that infuriating, but, well, that's going to hamper the spread of secular Quranism and that.
No, yes, it's all based on logic. I mean, that's the thing. Christianity is so irrational that Islam defeats it. Judaism defeats it. And when you think about it, it's okay. The system of Judaism, it's sort of, if you understand, all the rules and all the beliefs and all the principles, it makes sense. You can't actually say, oh, it's silly because whatever. It's like, no. The whole idea is that you're supposed to obey God and love God, and you will be rewarded. either in this life or the next. And just because you don't understand stuff doesn't mean that God doesn't exist. It just means you're stupid and you're ignorant. But one day you'll know the reason. So, but in the meantime, you just have to keep on carrying on and obeying God's laws. And maybe when you're dead, you might find out the reason for it. And that's it. And I think most people will be kind of, satisfied with that, or certainly previous generations were. They got by with that belief. And I think that the Jews are really strongest on it, saying everything that was meant to happen, everything that has happened was meant to happen. And God created good and evil. And if we suffer, it's punishment for sin. And that is what they're supposed to believe in. Oh yes, and they're supposed to thank God for suffering and welcome it as as a learning opportunity. That's what they're supposed to do. But was that a sound of disgust?
Following God's laws and all this other kind of shit is just,
But I guess some of them feel virtuous even as they suffer because they think, oh, if I suffer, it means I'm clocking up some brownie points for to speed me on to heaven or something. It's like some kind of video game, I suppose.
Not one that's very fun to play.
Well, I think we all manage to have fun in our own little way. I mean, you can't say that your life has been completely devoid of fun. Even people who, have, you know, I'm sure there's some fun in their lives, even if they're, dying of something or other or whatever, or being tortured. It's like, well, I'm sure even, people who are being horribly tortured must have had some fun.
Claire, you give like, yeah, and this is your other thing, that people should just be happy with what they get, and it's not that much. Like, you give them a crumb, and your whole argument is, well, you should just be happy with what you have.
Yeah, because the whole idea is that, be grateful for what you have. So you're not going to,
What?
get all angry that you didn't have this wonderful holiday and don't live in this mansion and you're not so beautiful or clever or whatever.
That's not you're saying that people would like, that, accept slavery, accept no fault divorce, accept, and you'll still have good moments in your life, even though all that's been taken from you. Like, you'll have something will be there for you, and can't
You have children.
I don't look. Who is going to give up a feast for a crumb and be told you better be grateful for this crumb I'm giving you? Why would they do that?
Well, because then you'll be looking forward to your afterlife.
Well, that doesn't work with a lot of people because about half the world doesn't give a fuck about the afterlife and doesn't believe it exists. Let me go.
I don't think it even matters because, look, well, as far as the afterlife is concerned, you can let's assume that the concept of the afterlife is around, and that there are these two atheists, but they can still use the afterlife to curse each other and assert status over each other. So I can say, oh, Vincent, you've done A, B, and C, and this means you're going to hell, and well, I won't be seeing you there because I'll be going to the other place. And then you might get upset even if you didn't believe in hell. And I might be, smiling with satisfaction, even though I don't really believe in the afterlife, because I know that my words have the power to upset you. And maybe that's good enough.
Hello?
Yes, yes, I was just listening to the soothing chirping of your birds, and um, it is quite soothing.
Yes, no, I that's why I like looking at them and watching them. Well, that's why I have them. That's why anyone has them. They are
Mhm.
soothing to watch.
Well, I think if you want something to watch, an aquarium might be more. Um,
No, I like birds.
no, hmm. But don't you think, Vincent, that that it's okay? Maybe even in the olden days they didn't believe in it either, but they kind of uh, talked as if they did. Maybe just for reasons of asserting, status over each other. But even that is a better system, isn't it? I mean, like the more sinning person should be lower in status than the virtuous person, and then we think it's fair enough.
How is believing in mysticism virtuous?
Well, it's not mysticism because the rules are fairly clear. It's like,
No,
yes.
to believe in God and all the nonsense in the Quran that's not just logical rules is mysticism.
No, I think mysticism means you don't understand what it means, but if the rules are
Well,
clear.
God is history. So, the idea that God is not mysticism is ridiculous. You can't figure God out at all. And so it is mysticism to just say, when you tell someone there's this all powerful God that you can't understand, that's mysticism.
Well, I mean, you can say, well, I understand that God created the universe, and he's omnipotent and omniscient and perfectly moral, and he will reward good and punish evil. And if it doesn't happen in my lifetime, it'll happen in the next. And as long as I have faith, everything will turn out all right. And I think people are happy with that, aren't they?
Obviously not, because in America, everyone's leaving religion. And also in Islam, atheism is growing, you know, and this is your other thing, Claire. You just think the whole world is just going to say, "Oh, this is rational enough. Let's just become Muslims." Like, no, Claire, that's not going to happen.
Okay, I mean, at the moment, they don't want to give anything up, but I guess when things get worse and, the life looks even more uncertain, the crime rate gets higher, more businesses close down, more people become victims of crime, they might think, oh, well, where are we going? What's this leading to? And they might think, we'd like to feel that life is getting better instead of worse and worse. And some people who care about their children might want to leave the world a better place. I mean, I don't see why you find that so surprising. I'm sure lots of
No,
people would find the idea.
but
I mean, they just
no,
need to be given permission to believe by the fourth estate. They kind of want to believe, but everybody around affects such cynicism. They just want mainstream media maybe to say, yes, it's okay to believe. Oh, we were wrong in making you not believe. Oh, isn't it wonderful? Isn't it comforting to know that good will be rewarded and evil punished? Why didn't we do it earlier?
oh my God, Claire.
you
No.
you're kind of getting into you're kind of getting into it. I just felt that you sort of understood what I was saying and saw the point of it.
No, well, no, I don't. I mean, Claire, and the idea that it's going to be Islam that they choose to get over this. I mean, no, there's a lot of people out there that would rather live in crime if that's what gave them liberalism than Islam.
Well, we don't know. Maybe even criminals want to lead a better life. and they just need a bit of a nudge and be given clear, easy rules to follow, such as not having sex before marriage and not having illegitimate offspring. And, the government just needs to be clearer. And the fun of watching 100 lashes to the local slut, I don't know, it might be fun for people. Pleasure can be derived from watching the wicked being punished or the immoral being exposed. You know, oh, have you ever watched those videos of Aceh province in Indonesia?
No.
Well, they punish sex offenders. And okay, it's done quite professionally. Um, Maybe you want to watch a bit of that.
No, I know what you're talking about. With I don't need to see anyone whipping a girl, but
And boys, men rather.
it's not something that I appreciate. But obviously you appreciate it, and I don't understand.
Well, it's not lethal. I mean, the point is that it's not lethal, and I guess if you did go to Aceh province, you want to go and see that,
Claire, do you really think that if you got on the media tomorrow, you would be able to get America to accept public whippings and slavery?
Well, not just after one interview. I mean,
Well, how many would it take?
well, I think okay, it'll have to start with one, all right, and maybe one good interview, or okay, and even if I don't do very well, people might just want to, you know, interview me again and again and again and again, and But isn't there something enormously comforting about good being rewarded and evil being punished, measure for measure?
Yeah, but people don't agree on what is good and evil.
Yeah, it's like, okay, you don't agree, but God above, has these laws. Aren't they fair enough? And they look at the Noahide laws, and they might think, well, it does sound fair enough. I mean, there's no reason for us to eat an animal while it's still alive, and obviously we want our court and legal system to dispense justice, and obviously if we have property, we don't want it stolen from us, and if we have lives, we don't want it to be, taken from us, and obviously, okay, sexual morality is probably the most difficult. Um, yeah, the most difficult because people, it's even more of a, um, it's more subjective, right? Because you have the 36 capital offenses of the Torah, and that's, I think, about 17 of them are sexual offenses, and then yeah, and it's going to be controversial, but I think if people can concentrate on that, that is where the national and international and global conversation should be to concentrate on, because it's happening, in China and Japan and Korea. They're having a low birth rate. They're completely obsessed by shopping, and they're not happy. I mean, Koreans are killing themselves because they work so hard. They never see their children, and I think it's because um, both both are expected to go out to work, and they can't cope anymore. So really, what they need is to just do a little bit of adjustment, and make it possible for a man to support a wife and family. And once you make this economic adjustment, everything will just be okay again. The nuclear family and all that sort of thing. I mean, it's not unheard of. I mean, the 1950s, I guess, I think white nationalists consider it a golden age of being white, I guess.
Yes, I mean, yeah, but I don't think that type of world right now is economically possible. And the idea that the economy Look, you've admitted that if capitalism were ended overnight, the economy would collapse. So it's not, look, we wouldn't be living in the 1950s because people would be slaves. The
Yeah,
econ-
yeah, yeah. I mean, okay, but I do have a system of slavery that's meant to be humane. Have I explained it to you?
yes, where they go in and they check up on them and make sure they're not being hurt and all those.
Yes, slave visitors, and a kind of account, I guess, at the IRS. So you know you're a slave, but the property of the slave resides in the state. So the state hires you out to hirers of slaves, and that person, the hirer, will pay into your account, you know, whatever is the going rate, and then by the time it reaches a certain sum, you manumit yourself. Or you can stay a slave if you know prefer to stay in you know working for that person. So it's not going to be horrible. Well, I'm going to make sure you know. I think it sounds okay. I think even you know under that system, I wouldn't mind because you get a roof over your head, you get you know food in your belly, you know you get to um, improve your life. You learn skills. You get to know people. You get contacts. And I think the welfare state was, you know, the worst thing the West did to itself because it just made people useless. And I think workfare. I mean, workfare just doesn't make sense if you well, it just makes the welfare state more costly if you hire people to force people in receipt of benefits to work because then you know you have to chase them up and you have to supervise and manage them and you know it'll end up being cheaper not to do it and I think workfare you know just sort of kind of runs itself really. And so I guess you know the British and the Americans have to say right maybe we shouldn't have you know banned slavery because you know it's not banned and you know it's not forbidden in the Bible and the Quran and you know I guess the Americans can say maybe we shouldn't have had a civil war with each other that we still can't get over you know, if it hadn't been for the wretched issue of slavery. Oh yes, and my little idea of secular Quranism with you know New Jersey characteristics, um, New Yorker characteristics, and California, etc. It's like if America had been run. At the time of the Civil War, then it wouldn't have been a problem at all. You know, you just wouldn't have needed to go and have a civil war because you know every state will just sort of have a referendum. Are we going to operate slavery or not? And then every state will just sort of, you know, let the majority decide and not have to go to war over the other states about, you know, about slavery. So secular Quranism proves that it prevents war. Yeah, it prevents war. Because if the founding fathers had, you know, imposed secular Quranism, then you know I think a lot of problems would have been avoided. In fact, the wars of the Reformation would not have been necessary at all if Europe had been Muslim. And the wars of the Reformation were pretty devastating for the Europeans. You know, the 30 Years' War when they were forced to practice cannibalism because there was just so much fighting that nobody even bothered to grow stuff anymore. When apparently cannibals were forgiven because practically everyone was a cannibal.
All right, Claire, I'm gonna get going.
All right.
It was nice talking.
Yes, yes, it was very soothing watching your birds.
Thank you.
Colourful and chirpy.
Yes.
Right, I see they do make quite a lot of mess, don't they? I see you've got some sort of dust sheet on.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, Vincent. Speak
Yeah.
to you before too long, I hope.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.
Oh, Mike Tyson kept pigeons. I didn't know that.